So we all saw this happen a few months ago. We see right here, George Lucas is listed as a writer on the Andor show for characters for 2 episodes on the official IMDb page for the Andor show. And me, ABJ, and a few others found out this live on stream, and we all overreacted a little bit. As soon as we found out about this, I think we all kind of decided, oh my god, George Lucas is back. He's back in Star Wars. It's official. He's listed on the IMDb page. It must be happening. We all rushed to go make videos. We all posted them, thinking that it was confirmed that George Lucas was back, and we all truly thought that. We all truly thought that Star Wars was saved. The creator is back, but it didn't happen. We all sat back and we all just kind of thought about, why would this be happening? Why would George Lucas be listed on the IMDb page for the Andor show? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. I believe that anyone can edit these pages. I think that the creator of the page, I think that anyone that works for IMDb can edit the page as well. So if you put any false information on there, it will be edited out. But I don't think that George Lucas being there is technically false information. I think that George Lucas will get credited for writing his characters, because I think people like Darth Vader will be in the show and George Lucas will get some type of credit for Darth Vader being in the show, etc., etc. Characters that George Lucas created will be in this show, and that's why George Lucas is going to have a writing credit for the show. But we've gotten a lot more reports recently that George Lucas will be returning to Star Wars. As you can see right here on this Inside the Magic article, George Lucas reportedly taking back creative control of Star Wars. And in this video, we're going to talk about whether or not this is true, where this rumor came from, where these reports are coming from. I wasn't even going to talk about this on this channel, but a lot of people are talking about this. A lot of major news outlets are reporting that George Lucas will be taking over Star Wars once again, that George Lucas is taking back control from Kathleen Kennedy herself, and George Lucas will be creating its own trilogy. George Lucas is apparently taking back control of Star Wars. Let's check out in this video whether or not this is true. But before we get too deep into that, I'm going to ask you to please leave a like on the video and please subscribe to the channel if you are new. YouTube has kind of been screwing me lately in terms of pushing my video out there. A lot of people aren't seeing my videos. A lot of subscribers to my channel are not seeing my videos, and they're recommended in their subscription feed. So please leave a like on the video and help this video get pushed in the algorithm. I really do appreciate that. But let's get into this George Lucas news. Let's find out if George Lucas is truly returning to Star Wars. And let me know what you think in the comments after this as well. Do you think that George Lucas is returning to Star Wars? Let's check out what this report says. When Star Wars creator George Lucas sold his space opera franchise to the Walt Disney Company in 2012, Star Wars fans weren't sure exactly what would happen to the beloved characters like Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, Princess Leia Organa, Carrie Fisher, and Han Solo, Harrison Ford. Disney's Star Wars sequel trilogy proved to be divisive, with many moviegoers unhappy with the fates of the original trilogy's core trio and the general lack of direction of the 3 films The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker seem to have. American Graffiti director George Lucas has publicly acknowledged that he expected to have more say in the Star Wars sequels, which were directed by J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and Abrams again, and in the development of new characters like Rey, Finn, and Poe Dameron. Lucas has also shared that he had previously begun writing his own sequel trilogy, which would have seen Princess Leia emerge as the chosen one and would have had Darth Maul's apprentice Darth Talon as its villain. And now a lot of people thought that that trilogy would be so much better, and you're probably right, but at the end of the day, we just don't know how good George Lucas's sequel trilogy would have been. Now, George Lucas is an amazing storyteller. He's one of the best storytellers of all time, if not the best storyteller of all time. I will give you that. George Lucas, one of the best storytellers of all time. But when it comes to writing, when it comes to directing, George Lucas isn't the best. You look at the prequel trilogy. What is the prequel trilogy's strengths? The thing that the prequel trilogy did way better than the sequel trilogy is the storytelling. There's a great story. There's a great overall story, and that's where the sequel trilogy lacked, right? But what is the prequel trilogy's weaknesses? It's the writing and directing. So many people have memes, so many people have made fun of the writing and directing of the prequel trilogy. That's because George Lucas, at the end of the day, is just not a great writer. He's not a great director. He is an all-time great storyteller. It's hard. It's extremely hard to be great at more than one thing. If he is a great storyteller, it's not likely that he's going to be a great writer or a great director, which he is not, in my opinion. One of the best storytellers of all time, like I said, but he's not a great writer. He's not a great director. That's why the prequels were not perfect. And that's why I don't believe, like everyone thinks, that his sequel trilogy would be perfect, that his sequel trilogy would be this immaculate trilogy that would defy all the rest of the trilogies in the entire world and would dethrone every single other trilogy, including Star Wars, as the best trilogy of all time. I don't think that that would be the case. Now, do I think that it would be better than the sequel trilogy that we got? Hell yes, it would be way better than that sequel trilogy. But I think that we have these unrealistic expectations for this trilogy that just would not be met if George Lucas actually was allowed to make this trilogy, which I don't think is totally impossible. I think that George Lucas could one day make his trilogy. I think that we will definitely see the scripts. I think we will definitely see the treatment for this trilogy eventually, if not in animation form or maybe even live action. That is possible. Not likely, but it is possible. But if we don't see it in animation, if we don't see it in live action, we'll definitely see them on paper. We'll definitely see what the exact story story would have been, which is probably going to be the worst tease of all time once we see that. But let's get on with this article. In recent years, the rumors of Lucas's official return to Star Wars universe have swirled online. These intensified after he was seen on the set with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's hit Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, and IMDb included his name on the writing credits for the upcoming Rogue One, a Star Wars story prequel show, Andor. Like I said earlier, that IMDb page stuff really got us all excited, really got people like me and ABJ all excited. We all rushed to post videos on it, and then we all realized that it really doesn't mean that much. I mean, it could mean something, it definitely could mean something, but I just don't think it means that he's officially returning to Star Wars. But when you put all this evidence together, it does mean that George Lucas could be returning to Star Wars in some way. I don't think he's making his own trilogy, but let's read the rest of the article. Let's read the rest of the evidence that we have that George Lucas is apparently making his own trilogy, and then you can decide for yourself, and then I will make my own decision as well. Now, a new report indicates that Lucas may be bankrolling an upcoming Star Wars trilogy, effectively taking back much of the creative control he lost when sitting Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy was put in charge of the Star Wars galaxy. It's important to note that this information remains entirely unconfirmed by either the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm. Furthermore, Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Chapek recently announced that Kennedy's tenure with Disney will continue at least for the foreseeable future. However, given Lucas's own comments about desiring more say in the sequels and his involvement in The Mandalorian, it would not be shocking to see that there be at least some truth to this new rumor. The report did not indicate what the plot of the new Star Wars trilogy might be. So yes, this sounds great. Yes, this makes every Star Wars fan excited. I don't think there's a Star Wars fan out there that wouldn't be excited if George Lucas was to return to the sequel trilogy or was to return to make his own trilogy. Whether that's the sequel trilogy or not, I don't know. But even if you're a sequel trilogy fan, you have to be excited for George Lucas coming back. I think every single sequel trilogy hater out there would be excited for George Lucas returning. But I can't even see, if you love the sequel trilogy to death, if you love every single character, if you love every single story that was told, you have to still be excited that George Lucas is returning. He's the creator. No one knows Star Wars like George Lucas because it all came from his head. He figured it all out. He made all these stories. He made all these characters. So you have to be excited if George Lucas is returning. But is this report true? Could this all actually be true? Could George Lucas actually be returning to Star Wars? I don't really think so. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really think that George Lucas is returning. He's an old man. He wants to be retired. He wants to relax. He wants to enjoy his life from now on. And at the end of the day, man, he's an old man that just wants to relax. He just wants to enjoy his retirement. I think he's gonna be involved in Star Wars a little bit like he was on The Mandalorian, like he is with all the John and Dave projects. He'll give his input. He'll be on the set. He'll help out where he can. But is he going to fund his own trilogy? Is he going to direct and write his own trilogy with his own dollar? I don't think that's happening. I don't think there's any chance of that happening. I don't think George Lucas wants that to happen. Even if Disney was to allow that to happen, I don't think George Lucas would accept. I don't think George Lucas would want that, because for one, he would still have to deal, even though he would be funding his own movies, he would still have to deal with the Disney corporate overlords. And for two, who knows what the perception of those movies would be? He could absolutely ruin his legacy if he were to make a bad trilogy. Imagine the Star Wars fans' outrage. Imagine the Star Wars fans' sadness if they see a bad George Lucas trilogy. I know when that trilogy comes out, no matter what, it could be poop on a piece of paper and people would love that trilogy no matter what because it's George Lucas originally. But after they rewatch it, after they see it a few times, the Star Wars fans might start to realize this trilogy isn't all we made it out to be. This trilogy has been hyped up forever. Ever since The Force Awakens came out, ever since Disney bought Star Wars, really, everyone have been wanting for George Lucas to return to make more Star Wars content. And whenever we see a trilogy, it might not be that great. If we ever do see this trilogy, it might be a huge disappointment to all these fans, and the fans would probably be extremely sad if that were to happen. It would probably ruin a lot of people's Star Wars experience. But where did this rumor come from? Where did this rumor originate from? I know a lot of people are wondering that. Well, here I'm going to show you right here where this rumor actually came from, where this rumor actually started from. It was actually a Doomcock video, an Overlord DVD video, and I'm going to show you that video right now.
Rumors, so buckle up and hold on to your hats for this one, folks. My news source, and you should absolutely take this with a lot of salt, told me, quote, "Okay, more good news. The big G, George Lucas, exclamation point, was just here with John and Dave in a meeting with the Killer Bees. The Big G wants more input on Star Wars going forward and is in talks to put a financial stake back into Lucasfilm Limited. If this happens, we could be looking at a new trilogy bankrolled by the big man himself." Unquote. When I heard that,
Now look, man, I'm usually a big fan of Doomcock. I'm usually a big fan of Overlord DVD. I don't think he lies in his videos. I truly do think that he has some real sources. I don't think that he's ever told a lie in his videos. I don't think he's fabricating any of this stuff. I think he really does hear these things that he relays in his videos. But I don't think that's true. I think that one of his sources is either feeding him false information, or maybe he did just make this one up for entertainment purposes. I don't know. I don't think that's the case, but it might be. I don't think that this rumor is true. It's all coming from that video. It's all coming from that Overlord DVD video. That's where Inside the Magic is hearing this from. That's where all these other reporting companies, all these other journalism companies, whatever you want to call them, these scoopers, that's where they're all hearing this from, is from that Overlord DVD video. And whenever you hear that, let's be real, it gets a lot of clicks on these journalism companies. I don't know if this video will get a lot of clicks because YouTube kind of hates me right now, but it gets a lot of clicks on these journalism companies, on these journalism websites, when you hear that George Lucas is returning to Star Wars. That has shock value, so a lot of people will click on it. They all want to run with it. They all want it to be true. They all want people like Overlord DVD or Doomcock to report this type of stuff because it lets them get clicks. It lets them post articles like this one so that they can get more clicks. But let me know what you guys think about this whole situation in the comments. Do you think that it's true that George Lucas is returning to Star Wars? Do you think that it's true that he's making his own trilogy that's going to be funded by him, written and directed by him, all of that good stuff? Let me know what you think in the comments about this whole situation. But if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, both of the links will be in the description as well. But thank you for watching the video and hope to see you in the next one.